$4. Third time's a charm. Is it not? Well, that's what they say. So hopefully this one is going to do the trick. So she will be dubbed Flask Gordon Volume 3. So after 2 failed attempts of the last one that we recently sent out, and the very, very extremely terrible, oh my god, it's not even worth talking about, water bottle. After all, then we've ended up with this one, which is a 2 litre mini keg from nakedkeg.com. It's the screw top. It's the screw top that sold it, and I'll explain why in a second. But first, I need to explain how I've got this here so quickly. So the last video I uploaded about there being a problem with Volume 2, people left comments, particularly people were leaving comments to links to things that they would recommend, this being one of them, links to this but unbranded, and messages about, I think the New Zealand lads use just a glass bottle, so they uncap it, whoever fills it next just recaps it with a little USB stick where they put their little video on it, which is a really good idea. I especially like the fact that he said that there's still footage of Paul Wicksteed on that little stick where he was filling it up whilst talking to me and Harry. It brought a big smile to my face, that, and it sort of spurred me on to not give up with this Flask Gordon thing. I ain't gonna rest till I've found something that's gonna do it. So we're gonna proceed this way. And then Jay Curry left a message saying, well, how about we all chip in, collect the money up to buy the next one, and either send it to me or whoever the money to buy the next one. And in the back of my mind, although it was a good idea, in the back of my mind I was thinking, I've already bought 2 failed ones. I don't want to take people's money and then buy one that does exactly the same. So I sort of dismissed that sort of an idea out of my head. And then a couple of days later, I got a message on the NewToHomeBrew Facebook page from a James Bishop. He sent me a message saying that he's been following the videos, following the channel for a bit, and he doesn't want this Flask Gordon thing to fizzle out, and he said, I want to donate a flask, and he left a link below to the flask, and he said, I will pay for it but have it shipped to you. So I looked at the link he'd sent, and it was the same link that someone else had left in that video, and before I messaged him back, I had a good look at them, I had a good look at some pictures of them, had a good look at the threads and the seal. After seeing Harry's video about the problems where the seal was distorting or deforming because of the because of gaps in the lid, it had room to sort of move when pressure built up. I had all that in my mind, and I spoke to Harry and I says, what do you think about these then? And he said, as long as the thread's good and the seal's good, then it's good to go. Of course, we don't know. We're pushing these to the limits, having them posted around and doing secondary fermentation in them. After a bit of research and looking at them, I messaged him back and I said, if you want to do that and you're happy to do that, then it's extremely generous of you to get it moving so quickly and pay for the flask out of your own pocket. And 2 days later, it was with me. So the reason why I think this is gonna work, hopefully, is the threaded lid. So let's take a closer look. So the threads on the lid are substantial. They're pretty good threads by looking at them. So the threads on the lid and to the keg look pretty good, and that gasket looks pretty thick. The threads on the Volume 1 flask were plastic, and they were threading into a metal thread on the body of the flask, and it didn't work, and the rubber was terrible. But this one, when you crank it down, the rubber seal sits inside a bit of a recess to the keg, so that when you crank the lid completely down, the top of the lid seals to the top of the keg, and that gasket is squashed in its own little housing. There's nowhere for it to distort, there's no room for it to disform, out of place and leak. That's what it looks like. We need to test it though. It looks like, to start with, without doing any tests, I mean, I've had her full of water and I've had her on the side, and she's passed the first basic test of she actually holds liquid, so she doesn't leak with just having water in her. But we want to know what she's going to be like posting around the UK with a carbonated beer in her, and the only way to do that is to sacrifice some of the bitter and do some vigorous
Stimulate the postage! We're stimulating a postage ride!
The next video coming up, we are going to put this through its paces here and fill it with beer that's carbonated. Give it a frigging good old shake up and then layer on a side, layer on a lid and try to simulate every possible angle that it may be sat in on its journey with a carbonated beer that's been roughed around. I'm also going to take this little sticker off, make more room for signage. But that's it, an update on this flask. A huge big thanks to James Bishop for paying for this, donating it and getting it here so quickly that we can put her through a paces and then fill her up with some Mosaic Pale Ale and get the ball rolling. I don't want to sit on it. I don't want to do what I did with the last one and leave it 6 months before it goes out. It's got to go out like next week. So as always guys, don't forget to thumb this video because you're doing what I do. Don't forget to subscribe, hit this little icon here and you won't miss out on what's coming up next. Share the video, get it out there for all to see and until next time, I'm out of here.